Back in the 60s, when we first took seriously that perhaps behind such things as Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, there might be real animals, we were just laughed at.
Please support this channel by subscribing and leaving comments.
Until recently, most biologists thought science had discovered all the big, obvious animals with warm blood and fur. They contend, therefore, that Bigfoot and Yeti must be simply mythological creatures. But last spring, biologists on a field trip along the Vietnam-Laos border proved their colleagues wrong. They found not one, but 3 new species of mammal. Just a year old, she's a legend come to life. The creature locals have described as an antelope with gills now has a scientific name, the Vuquang ox. In the same region, biologists found the remains of 2 additional new species. The giant muntjac is a saber-toothed deer, and the slow-running deer is a creature who should have been as easy to catch up with as the name implies.
This is in North Vietnam, in the very mountainous region. Very few people have been in the region to begin with. It's an extremely rich area. And one of the things that intrigued me was the suggestion that all these new creatures are very ancient.
The mammals found in Southeast Asia are not the only ancient creatures to resurface after their supposed extinction.
The coelacanth is a sort of fish that was discovered off the coast of South Africa. And that is a fish that belongs to a group of fish which was thought to have become extinct about 80 million years ago. It is now thought by some people that there may be as many as 30 million species of organisms on the planet or more. The point is that we have reason to believe now that there may be far more species on the planet than we thought previously.
Cryptozoologists like Roy Mackal believe that clues to discovering some of these 30 million undiscovered species can be found in legend and persistent folk tales.
Back in the 60s, when we first took seriously that perhaps behind such things as Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, there might be real animals, we were just laughed at.
I am a zoologist. I study creatures which are known to exist, and I also discover new unknown creatures. But every time we go out and we discover something new, the cryptozoologists treat this somehow as being a victory for their side. But the new kinds of animals that turn up are turned up by people like me.
But cryptozoologists feel there's a kind of conceit in a mainstream scientific community that won't acknowledge the thousands of fantastic sightings reported by laymen every year. Is it possible that among the millions of undiscovered species, we may find dinosaurs and the humanoid primate legend has named Sasquatch and Yeti?
There have been mainstream zoologists who have said that no more large quadrupeds, that is, 4-legged animals, are going to be discovered. And they've been proved wrong over and over again.
That's the great thing about Vuquang. Here's, again, an area in one of the most densely populated nations on Earth, a small area, and yet these things are unknown to science until just recently. So there is a fair amount of territory left on Earth where scientists really haven't exhaustively explored the area. And I do expect a lot will be found.
The newly discovered mammals have been part of Vietnamese and Laotian mythology for centuries. It wasn't until they were captured and identified by biologists, however, that they officially existed. Some cryptozoologists contend the same will be true for centuries of reported Bigfoot and Yeti sightings. They believe it's only a matter of time until these creatures are found to exist.
Is this merely a chimpanzee, or could it be
a hybrid with another type of ape, a possible human hybrid, some relation to a Bigfoot?
the people who dance while in a trance?
It's like it is making.
And our series on the cosmic Watergate continues with...
Why is the government hiding the facts about UFOs from the public? We don't know.
Next on Strange Universe. Reporting on unusual and unexplained news and events from around the world and beyond. This is Strange Universe, the phenomenal daily news magazine.
Hello, I'm Emmett Miller.
And I'm Dana Adams. Welcome to Strange Universe.
Science has long held that man evolved from apes. And there's one chimpanzee who some believe has human genes. Correspondent Marley Klaus has the story of Oliver.
Primarily Primates here in San Antonio, Texas is the largest and oldest non-profit retirement sanctuary for chimpanzees and other primates. Last year they decided to help 12 lab research chimpanzees retire humanely. But when Director Wallace Sweat was logging in the chimps, the name of one of them stopped him cold.
The name of one of the chimpanzees was Oliver. And I was immediately curious to find out whether or not it's just the same name or whether this might be the strange ape that I'd read about so many years before.
Wallace Sweat read about Oliver in Time magazine, in Playboy, in newspapers across the country. The headlines, the theories about what he is, have never stopped coming in.
A hybrid with another type of ape, a possible human hybrid, some relation to a Bigfoot, a living missing link in a primitive hominid to an unknown species of ape that's rumored to exist in parts of Zaire.
Why all the fuss about Oliver?
He walks very often in a very distinct, upright position. Not at all like upright walking of other chimpanzees, of any other chimpanzees. His head shape is different. His head is smaller than other chimps. He's tiny for a chimpanzee. Behaviorally, he seems to be a little bit more attuned to people and intelligent.
Oliver also definitely prefers humans to most other chimps. When Oliver stopped holding and grooming my hand to scratch, I thought we were done. Oliver made it clear we weren't. More than anyone, New York attorney Mike Miller sparked international interest in Oliver after he bought the chimp from the trainers that had owned him for the first 17 years of his life. He displayed him at events like the Explorers Club dinner in New York and on tour all over Japan. There, Oliver was always treated like just another honored guest.
And in walks Oliver, and they'd always ask, what does he like? And we'd always tell him he'd love a beer. And he'd chug-a-lug that beer down, have a great time, and he also liked cigars. He just seemed to enjoy them.
Oliver not only would pour drinks, he supposedly noticed when someone needed a refill. So Miller had primitive genetic tests done on Oliver, which gave conflicting results. Then 20 years ago, Miller sold Oliver and lost track of him.
I assumed, thinking that he might have been an old chimpanzee, that he had died.
But that's not what happened. He became a sideshow attraction, and then he ended up here, waiting for 7 years in a cage to be used in scientific research. Waiting, but never used, until Sweat liberated him last April.
Oliver could be a chimpanzee, or Oliver could be similar to the last unicorn.
When Oliver had to have blood drawn as part of a checkup, Sweat decided to send some of it to the University of Chicago for sophisticated genetic tests. While Sweat doesn't think Oliver will turn out to be part human, he does think such a hybrid is possible.
Hybrids of all sorts of animals are very possible. You know, the mule is a hybrid between a horse and a donkey and so on down the line. Genetically, it's quite possible that a human and a chimpanzee could mate. If by some weird chance it should happen that there is some portion of a human being in the ape called Oliver, we're at a tremendous disadvantage and in a real quandary. We don't know where such a creature, would exist.
So very soon, genetic tests will finally answer the 30-year-old question of what Oliver is. The missing link, part human, or just an odd-looking chimp. But if Oliver turns out to be nothing more than a normal chimp, will his story be any less mysterious? For the more human Oliver seems, the more he reminds us that we're animals, just like him. For Strange Universe, I'm Marley Klaus.
Oliver's genetic tests were sent to the University of Chicago. The results are going to be back in about 3 to 6 months, and we'll update you on that story. Primarily Primates is a non-profit organization. Many of the chimps that are there were actually rescued domestic pets.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.